crates on top of the desk I usually use in this closet because the arm that Ari bought only like telescopes down so far. So it's hooked
so you have to
like the closet bar, and it only comes down to my standing height. I am on my feet right now standing. So now my computer is at like chest height on me from the ground.
Like full standing desk style, but you can't adjust it.
No, and it's precarious. So if I knock everything over, I apologize in advance.
I'm sure, but you'll have to apologize to Ari because okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Hello and welcome to Behind the Locked Doors. I don't know. I don't have a joke this week. It's just a thing where we talk every once in a while. And sometimes it's not really a podcast because like we don't have any updates or anything like that. So I am Scott Paladin.
I'm Jack the Ripper. I don't know. Hi.
Hello. I don't think either of us really did anything over, at least on the projects side of things.
Yeah, the thing is, we've been doing stuff. It just hasn't been stuff for the projects for this podcast.
Yeah, the Breathing Space finale has been I'm going to say that there's been some less than optimal occurrences in that it. That's a mean way to say it. We've had some shit come up that we've needed to deal with.
Nobody's particular fault, just like stuff coming up, but we're handling it. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's one of those things where like on a project like that, most of the time when something goes wrong that we didn't intend to go wrong, the question is like, well, how can we prevent this from happening next time? That's my instinct, right? Like what can we do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? It's like every time something happens with the finale, I'm like, well, shit. There's nothing to learn here because we're not
done.
doing this.
It's over.
Yeah, like, okay, so the next time that we end a show that's been running for 4 seasons, we'll do such and such and such different. I don't know, man. Like, it's not.
I don't know.
It's not immediately relevant, and it won't be with any of the same people, or not any of, but like, it won't be with this particular group. So like, there's nothing. This is just like, okay, it'll get done or it won't.
It'll be what it is.
As I did have a thing I wanted to talk about.
Let's go.
For regards to other stuff, because while I haven't been able to do a lot of creative work on It Takes a Wolf, I've been doing some infrastructure stuff for Library of Cursed Knowledge. Because it's a technically a company, kind of. I need to do the paperwork actually on some of it being an official company, but there's some things that I would like to have in place for working further on the project, and stuff that I would also like to make available to you and Sam.
Sure.
So I'm an IT guy by day. So the first thing that happens when I like think about a new organization is like, well, what's the IT infrastructure going to look like? So like, some of this was not relevant. Like I have a certificate authority now. Like I GoDaddy or one of those people that like when you log into a secure website, it like gives a little lock thing. I have one of those now. It doesn't, It's not a useful thing. This is not something I needed to do. I just felt compelled to do.
Sure.
So that's not relevant. But what I have been thinking about is things like document sharing and communication, like, because the Breathing Space kind of lives and breathes on Discord, which, and that's how most of the creative projects I've worked on. So like I worked with the Protean City people for a little while, stuff like that. And pretty much every, sort of low grade hobbyist organization that I've dealt with has been like a Discord thing. And there are ways in which, and I'm sure you felt this pain too, where like Discord is a very much not optimal way to run a project in certain ways.
Yeah, it's like totally fine for playing a game with your friends online where you all need to be on voice together. But if you need like higher quality audio or you need like specific other things, it's less optimal.
Yeah, and there are people. I know several people who just like they just can't with Discord. Like Discord just, the flow of information, the scattershot approach to it. Like if you're not logging in regularly and checking a Discord, like we all have those
stuff.
Discords. Yeah, but we also have those ones that like are muted and that we're never going to go back into.
Oh my God, yes.
Like,
absolutely.
What are you going to do? Catch up on more than a few weeks worth of information? And like, no. And Discord's search also is very
bad.
So if you're ever, so it's like not a good repository of information, but sometimes that's the only place certain information lived because it was in a conversation from 6 months ago that two people were just talking about. So I was like thinking about like, what's like the action, like, are there things that I could implement that would be helpful for like an organ, like when people need to talk about something and retain information. So like
Mm-hmm.
we obviously there's things like Google Docs. And this is also a subject on which I have not come to any conclusions. I am like
Okay,
broaching
sure.
this as a like some stuff I'm thinking about, but I haven't like got solutions yet. And like so Google Docs or other things a lot like them, Dropbox or one of the self-hosted solutions, things like that, are really good for like, okay, here is like formalized information that I have put together for other people to go look at if they need it. The problem is that nobody ever goes and looks at stuff like that, kind of ever. I don't get stats from Google Docs, but like I would
Sure.
bet that like a bunch of the ones that we have never been read by anybody other than myself and Ash.
Sure. I did go through and read a whole bunch of the like series Bible stuff for Breathing Space when I came
that's
on as a
good.
writer. I did like go find wherever all of those were stored and like read through. I think most
that's
of them.
good. Okay, good. Then they serve their purpose, which is that's what they were for. But like, I mean, I don't know about you, but like if you're gone away from Discord for a minute and then you come back and two people have like gone on a spree or like they started talking for like 6 hours and like, man, it could be like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like I do like, even if it's something that you love and that you're excited about, sometimes it's like, oh man, this is a whole thing that like I'm now just reading other people like chattering.
Yeah, and it's
and
like if there was a piece of information I was actually looking for that I came to the Discord to find, now I have to dig back through everyone just hanging out and chilling to find that vital piece of information.
And Discord is also, I mean, well, so I was thinking about it because we have a lot of trouble. So there's like multiple modes of communication that you need to have on a project like this. So there's like one-to-one, right? Like one person needs to talk to one other person. I don't need anybody else to be involved with it. And I like need them to get back to me. And certain things like DMs and emails work super great for that. Like that's a solved problem that I'll just email somebody and say, hey, I need you to do such and such and such and such.
Yeah.
So that's a solved problem. And what Discord is really good is many-to-many communication, where many people are talking to many people. Yes. And anybody can jump in at any time, but that suffers a lot when you need like one too many, where like I, person who runs project, need to talk to everybody all at once. And I need to send out like an announcement or something. And obviously I could email everybody, but I know how emails work when there's a bunch, like when it's a blast like that. And sometimes like we're well past the days of I'm going to blast out an email and start a chain with a bunch of different people.
Oh my God.
Like that's not a
remember
thing anymore.
Email chains?
Yeah, I do remember email chains. Yes. I've been fighting with Discord over the last couple of years, trying to figure out ways to do that particular thing, like making channels where people can't respond, or like a certain group of people can put out information, but like invariably that becomes kludging when somebody needs to ask a question or like respond. Discord threads kind of solves that, but it's obviously like I'm trying to use crowbars and screwdrivers to like shove Discord into a role that it's like not good at. So I don't know what the solution here is. I've been thinking about it for weeks though, about like, and that was thinking about like the fact that I need one-to-many. I really don't want to have a second place for everything, like a forum or a whole other like, oh yeah, you all have to join a Slack channel now or something like that.
Yeah, that's like a whole other opportunity for people to miss important information if it's stored in two separate places.
So like there's like a real value to having a single location that's sort of the heart for a project. And there is, and I don't want to discount how valuable the many-to-many communication is, the sort of chat, the fact that there is a place where people can just chat to form a community and to talk about stuff. That is even the stuff that never is talking about the project, where like you have off-topic channels where people could just show pictures of their pets or whatever. It means that people see each other's, the ones who are showing up and want to engage with that, start seeing other people's usernames. They start understanding who other people are. They start feeling better about asking questions because they see other people ask questions. Like
you just get comfortable and like make friends. And I feel like that is really valuable, like community building stuff that you wouldn't get if it was just like the showrunners blasting information to everybody.
Exactly.
But there just seems like there must be a better way, because the way that we've got it set up in the Breathing Space, like Discord, where there is a channel that's like director requests and only people who have the clearance, quote unquote, can like post in that channel. But then, yeah, if you need like actual responses from somebody, having to go to like a separate place to put the response because you can't post in
even a thread. Most people don't use the thread feature in Discord, where like you can reply directly to a thing and it creates a separate thing that not everybody can see, which is useful discussion, but like it isn't something people are used to using. So it's like a kludgy response, basically. We also, even as much activity happens on Discord, we use Google for so much too that you kind of aren't well integrating the two of them. I don't know. It's like like I said, this is not a thing I have a solution to. I've just been thinking a lot about how it works and where the failures are, and if you could be better off in a maybe somewhere else. Or there's a thing where I don't know what the rules are on it, but if you become I banged my mic and that kind of hurt. Anyway,
Scott full on punching his microphone right now.
Well, I was trying to do air quotes, which is great for an audio format. But anyway, if you become a community Discord, then you get access to some additional features. Like you can create, it's basically Discord makes its own little sub forum where you like make threads, and then there's a conversations based off those threads inside of those, and
reinventing the forum.
Yeah, like no, straight up, like they're like, what? All of those forums that used to exist that were super valuable, let's just try making them again, but inside of a Discord, so they're not accessible to the web. You have to get to the Discord first, which is terrible.
Oh my god!
But yeah, anyway, so maybe some of those tools are useful, or maybe there's some other sort of chat thing. Discord has the advantage of everybody has a Discord account these days, at least within the realm of. I mean, my fucking mom has a Discord account, so like that says something about how pervasive the service is.
Right.
So I don't know what the answer is. I probably am going to have to come up with some sort of solution. I guess because of its pervasiveness, Discord will be the answer. We're just gonna have to keep banging on it really hard to try to get the solution I want out of it.
You're just whacking it from every angle until it fits the shape that we need.
Yeah, kind of. And then I guess email is another option as well for that one-to-one communication. But like, yeah, and I would love if, obviously there's probably some solution out there. There's no perfect solution for these things, but yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that sort of like communication and docs and stuff like that. And like,
okay, so say more about when you say like the Google Docs and Discord aren't super well integrated. Would in your ideal world, would there be like a way to have the whole library of like show documents and stuff like that, like not just linked in the Discord, but like
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Where like
somewhere, okay,
and really, if the search in Discord was good and it also returned Google Docs, that would be a really good answer. Where it's like if you just searched for keyword and you also got instances that were in the Google Docs, that would be super great. And Google Docs has they have a whole commenting system where, and like even there's like a discussion page on all of your Google Docs where you can have people talk. But like,
whoa, I didn't know that. I knew about the comments. I didn't know there was a discussion like channel.
Yeah, or like it's a feature you can enable, I think. But
damn, okay.
So it's one of those things where like having relevant discussions off of a document is also really cool, and that's nice. Yeah. And like so like I don't like the distinction betwing where you keep all of your files and where you keep all of your people. Basically, it would be nice if they all kind of lived in the same space, so that people, it was more obvious, because like nobody is going to the Google except for you're a new writer. You come in, you see the link, we link you to this is our repository of information. But like other than that, most people aren't going to go peruse it. Because it's easier to just ask on the disc. They end up asking on the Discord again and again, stuff like that. So there's some stuff. I'll admit there are some ways in which Google Docs, just as a file sharing platform, I'm really unhappy with.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, those are dumb technical things. This is a thing I complain about a lot on the computer. So on my phone, it's fine because I have multiple Google accounts. So like I keep logged into one Google account on YouTube and I have a different Google account that I use for drives. On the computer, that's not the case. So every time I open a Google Drive account, I'm in the wrong account. Every time I open a folder, I'm in the wrong one. So I have to then switch it, which it opens in a new tab.
Yes,
it doesn't
I hate
close
that.
the old one. So like when I'm like, Google, I don't use this other Drive account. It doesn't, that shouldn't exist. Don't open it ever.
Don't open it. Just don't open it. Or I wish I could
Yeah.
like set it so that when I open Google Docs from like specific people, they only open with a certain account or something. Because anytime I open an account or a Google document from anyone in the Breathing Space Discord, I want it to open with my voice actor like account. I don't want it to open with my professional art account. I don't want it to open with my personal account. Those repositories are already full. I only have space in my for third one.
And like, I don't want to use my personal one ever. I don't want that name appearing anywhere. Like, it's a whole thing. Like, there's like, and there's some other stuff. Like, weirdly enough, complaining about searches, Google's Drive search fucking blows ass. Like, you go in and I search for a thing, and it gives me billions of responses, but not like where in the thing I searched for is in that document. Like, I can't get a preview, and I don't know where any of those documents are. Like, it'll show me all of the Word files that it creates that respond to the thing I'm looking for, but I don't know which one of those are in my drive or in the Breathing Space drive or in something else, or just like a random thing that was shared with me that I clicked on 6 years ago. And it's
why can't we get rid of those? That's my biggest ever beef with Google Docs. If I open a Google document 6 years ago from someone I don't talk to anymore, I don't want to have to see that shit pop up every time I open my Google Drive.
And it's like it's a casting call from a show that you didn't apply to, that you just happened, because everybody uses Google Docs for it now. So you're like, oh my God, I don't need, like, I just don't need this.
I don't need it. And I'm like looking at the title going, I don't even remember what this was. Like, why can't I like hide this somehow so I don't see it?
The one thing I will say, there's no better solution for auditions where you put up a Google form, people they put all their information in, and then they send you a file. They can attach a file immediately.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That works so well that I can't imagine a solution where I will not use that in the future. We use it for show audio as well, which I think really suffers actually in certain ways. On the one hand, it's really nice to have when somebody uploads a thing, they have to put in what episode it's for, who they are, what their character name is, rather than relying on them naming the file a certain way, which is how it works with most other solutions. That's really nice. But you have run into the problem where before you can attach a thing to a Google form, you have to upload it to your own Google Drive account, which means that if you don't have any room on your Google Drive account, you can't upload anything new.
Right.
And then they may have changed this, but I had a thing where people would, if you upload a document, we haven't like looked at it or moved it yet, and then you delete the file, it erases it from it. I think they've changed this, but at one point they actually deleted files that we needed out of our own. The person was like, oh, I need to clear up space, delete.
Right.
And I'm like, don't
just do that.
So like in that respect, Box or Dropbox is much better because you just upload the file and it disappears forever out of your life.
Thank God.
It also does that Google Drive has a problem with the form thing where you upload it, but you haven't submitted the form yet. So if you're uploading a large file,
and it takes forever, which it always does for me.
Yeah, exactly. It takes long time. So you go and you get coffee or whatever, and you come back, and I don't blame anybody for not remembering that they hadn't hit submit yet on the last thing they had to do on the form.
It's uploading and it's going to take 3 hours. I'm going to go get a coffee and take a shower and then come back. And then you don't come back. And then 3 days later, the showrunners are like, yo, did you ever upload this? And you're like, yeah, I totally did. No, you fucking didn't. No, you never hit submit. But like, who's going to remember?
But it's still taking up space on your drive because you had to upload it to your drive first, which is so dumb. So
I hate it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, it's not for auditions, that works great because those are tiny files.
Yeah, that's different.
Then that's fine. But for
show audio, though, it's different.
I don't think it's a good solution. We used to use Dropbox, but that Dropbox has the problem of you have to. I mean, again, this is the other thing where like you have to get everybody to name their files properly, and that is so hard to get people to do things consistently unless you're like sitting over their shoulders.
Well, and like voice actors are notoriously bad at following directions. So I mean, it's just like we have to come up with a solution that includes that information in fields that are individual fields like we all have to fill out.
Well, like this is why I used to we stopped doing it for other reasons, but like I used to do credit lines when I recorded the main episodes where people would, as a part of the episode early in the audio, I would say, okay, is everybody recording? Okay. Here is the way you say the credit line.
Yeah.
Please say it distinctly and clearly. And then they are all really nice and consistent. But the problem then is that the credit line, when you need to go attach, you'll find it. It's buried in 3 hours of an episode.
Yeah.
So,
oh my
which
God.
I don't, for me is no problem because when I edit stuff, I just listen to the entire file all the way through because I'm looking for bloopers anyway. So it wasn't a problem. But if you hand some random editor 5 hours of audio and they're like, hey, the credit line's somewhere in there. Good luck.
It's in there. I don't know where. We don't have a timestamp. We just did it somewhere in these 5 hours.
not great.
Not the ideal use of a different editor's time.
There's a separate problem with if they're submitting it separately, then you have to chase them down and herd cats in order to just get everybody to do it. And it's a whole. So there's like no perfect solutions there.
Well, and like, oh my God, no, I'm not gonna say anybody's names right now, and no shade to this person, but we had someone submit a credit line and just say the character's name wrong, and now we have to chase that person down again, or like have you record their credit instead.
yeah. Or like, I will name names. I don't think Vic has ever said it right in the credits.
No. That's true. Bless him.
Yeah, I love Vic.
Vic, if you're listening, I love you, but you've never once done the credit line correctly, I think, in your entire life.
yeah. Except for like the time that I was on the phone call with you at the time telling you how to do it. I think that might have been the only time you actually did it correctly. Which fair enough. He's not going to commit to long-term memory what what our particular version of it is. But like nonetheless. So like you can't rely on people to do these things, which is fine. That's part of being a showrunner and like chasing up with people or accepting that you're just going to have a little bit of jankiness, if you're not like there's the effort to reward ratio. How important is it that everybody says character name was voiced by actor
or
name,
is
as
voiced
opposed
by
to
or
is
whatever
played by, or I do like the people who would just say they'll
character name, actor name, no connection.
Yeah, character name, actor name, and then gone. And then they're also not people who don't use their character voice, which is funny because then it just sounds like somebody else, some random person saying the name, which is really funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. There's no matter how careful we try to be about getting it all to match, it never all matches, and that's the nature of it. Whatever. We're not getting paid. We're here to have a good time.
That is a trade-off for also we have a huge team. Like I think
oh my God, enormous cast.
We had Ash did an audit a while back, and it was I don't even remember what the numbers were, but like just looking at like the listed people on the website, it's like well over 140, maybe nearly 150.
Yeah, it's people. A large cast and crew on that show for sure.
So like just the wrangling cats part of it is enormous, like like down to the point where when I did the credits for the finale, just like making sure I didn't have any duplicate names in the credit list is a task, like.
Well, you had like 3 or 4 other people like double checking that list, like, oh, there is a duplicate here, or this person plays 2 different characters, or this character has 2 different names, or like all that shit.
Yeah. You just have to like. I mean, there's so many moving parts on that show that expecting us to get it all right when you don't have the ability to say, hey, I'm not paying you unless you do it right is a different sort of thing, and we don't want to be in those positions, but
no.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you do on It Takes a Wolf. If you want to pay people, you can be like, say the fucking credit line correctly.
That's one of the reasons I've thought about. That's one of the reasons I'm still considering that being a paid project. We'll see how the money works out because I don't know how that's all going to happen. I'm just in the middle of the mires of writing it. We'll see how it is when it's done. But being able to say, like, I am paying for you to do this, so I would expect a certain level of professionalism. I feel a greater level of professionalism when I am paid for things. That is something I am looking for because I know I'm pretty particular about stuff. So that is a thing I'm considering. If that's how it ends up working out, that may be why. But like. And also because I think that labor should be rewarded. Like if you give it to work, I would like to give them some money for the beautiful thing that they did for me.
Sure.
That is also like super important to me as well. So it's a multifaceted thing. Yeah. So like I'm continuing to think about things like how we handle files and stuff like that, and like I'm assuming with As in West, y'all are probably going to end up doing a lot of synchronous stuff.
Yeah, I would imagine there's at least a decent amount of stuff that me and Sam can record together, but there's also like people in other time zones that we want to have on sometimes that are like, okay, that might end up being independent, but also we might just be able to work because the crew is pretty small and we're not having big group scenes or whatever. We should be able to work it out at least from time to time that we can all record together and it's not a big deal. hopefully.
and we'll have to figure out sort of how I pay for Riverside, which is what we're using right now. That's open to you guys.
Except Sam can't use it without making his computer explode.
Sam's getting a new computer, so hopefully.
Okay, yeah, true.
Hopefully, supposedly he's getting a new computer. So we'll see.
Crossing my fingers for you, Sam.
Yeah. I have spare computer parts. I have thought about just being like, hey, would you like me to send you?
Can I mail this to you?
I don't have quite enough to make a whole nother machine. So anyway, that I think would work. I could send him a piece of crap. I got pieces of crap sitting around. Anyway,
Sam, do you want some garbage in the mail?
You want some electronics recycling that I'm not going to throw? But so like I have that. I'm gonna have file sharing resources available for you. Hopefully, whenever I can get it to fucking work. Anyway, that's been my last couple of weeks is trying to do.
You're just moving everything around all the time.
Yeah. So there's resources I want to make available to y'all and for my own purposes. So and for things like and figuring out the procedures for, okay, here's a synchronous recording. How do you guys do that? How do you want to have the files submitted? How do we organize them? Does somebody go in there manually and like freaking sort through everything and and like one of the things as we were doing the finale for Breathing Space, one thing I was thinking about was like we need a form for editor feedback. Like when we're going through
that would be really useful.
Where like because like I love when people give me feedback on my audio that has a timestamp on it. I adore that. But if that is not the way that it's formed, like that timestamp doesn't match up to like the sub file that the other editor was working on. So maybe it needs to be page number of when the dialogue was, so we can check. Like there's stuff like that will also need to be figured out. And then if we have like a form or a spreadsheet or something, some sort of centralized document for these kinds of things, then that means that if you're the second person to check an audio file and you say, oh, hey, at 10:30, there's an error at, such and such line, and you look at the document, you see that the person who came before you already noted that. You don't have to like tag the editor and say, hey,
did you see blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they saw, because you can tell that someone else checked it already. Yeah, that would be really useful.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then we also can track when stuff gets fixed, right? We're like, oh, okay. So editor has not come back through.
Solved issue.
Yeah. You can kind of do that with comments and scripts and stuff. Same kind of idea. Stuff like that is those kinds of processes are useful to think through sort of early in the process. I'm still not sure if I'm doing synchronous or not too, which I keep waffling on.
Is there a reason you wouldn't do it synchronously?
Yeah, because I have scenes with more people in it. And because the script is so heavily loaded on a couple of actors, it feels weird to do like 50 different recordings with them and different versions of other people versus maybe the way I'm kind of approaching it is there's two options. One is like mostly independent, or one where it's like the live stuff is the principal actors, which would be me, the Fool, and the Pillar, basically.
Right.
And then maybe some sessions where we bring in another person to that. And then I would probably want an associate director or co-director or something like that.
Yeah.
For those, we'll have to see. Something like that. And then everybody else independent. And just so that I don't have to get 16 people, or not 16. It's not that much, but I don't really want to have 7 people on a live recording session, because it does suck to be like sitting there waiting and then being like, oh, here's my one line.
Saying your 2 lines, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So I feel bad forcing people to do that. And also it means that you can schedule the other ones more easily if you're only getting 2-3 people together for it. So that's kind of my thought process right now. But one thing I am very certain about, I'm thinking a lot about, is any independent ones that I do, I want to meet with my actors first, right? If I can get on a call with an independent actor, somebody who's going to be doing their stuff independently, even for like 20 minutes, and it just needs to be me, where I can like talk through what they're doing and answer questions and like have an opportunity, maybe run some lines to see how they're thinking about doing it. Because like there's nothing worse than being like handed some lines and then being like, here you go, here's a script, just
go for it.
Just figure it out, So like I have gotten some stuff back where like I handed out line. I said, okay, I did an audition. We got auditions. Somebody gave me their audition. I said, you're great. You're going to be doing it independently. Get me your files. 3 months later, they get me their files. I look at the files and I'm like, that's not what I fucking want.
Yeah, and like now I need to actually direct you, but we're not
do I need to go
doing it like
I
that.
need to go back. It feels so bad to go back to an actor and be like, hey, I didn't give you any direction, but you totally fucked this up.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's start this again. And it's like,
Oh my
oh
god.
God, no, it's so much better if I can just like, if we can just talk, to head that off of the past and to like give them
Yeah.
feedback and talk it through and make sure they understand the assignment and all that stuff. And also to like, one of the things you miss out when you do independent is not feedback, but well, I mean, feedback,
Well,
stuff
yes,
from the
feedback
actor.
also.
Yeah. Like creative input coming from the performer is hugely
Yes.
valuable. And I don't like giving that up. So having an opportunity to just talk to somebody, even if it's, for a relatively, short amount of time where I'm not going to run through all of their lines with them, but I get ideas back from them and I go, okay, that's really cool. We're going to integrate that. We'll make,
That's a good idea.
down to answering questions like, can I change lines? Like, and how do you feel about, me rewriting your stuff? And it's like, okay, that like having meetings like that would be super nice. So
yeah, definitely.
Okay. So we haven't answered any questions. I've just been like,
nah, we're just chilling.
We're just chatting,
discussing possibilities.
This is completely off topic, but Hera hit me on Tumblr earlier today and was like, hey, do you still want horny werewolf content sent to you?
Just like broadly speaking.
And I'm like, I am a little bit offended that you felt the need to ask.
Like, what do you mean? Do I still want horny werewolf content sent directly to me?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I mean, polite of her to check in and make sure that was like an appropriate thing to be doing, but also it is like, okay, listener, if you know Scott Paladin, you can send him horny werewolf shit.
You can. Yeah, you can. It's fine. Don't be weird about it, but like if
don't
you see
be
a
weird,
thing
but
that's
just like
to my interests, you can just tag me. It's fine.
We have but like
yeah, don't be weird. Like we are getting so far about we are getting very far on everybody not being too weird about stuff. Like there is a channel, the most active channel on the Library of Curse Knowledge Discord is the horny channel, where everybody is very politely horny about stuff.
Very respectfully horny. Yeah. I love to see it. It's just so delightful. Like everybody literally will come like with something cupped in their two hands. Like, look, isn't this delightful? And we're all like, yes, wow, great content. Thank you for sharing. It's like all very demure and polite.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of like we've all known. I'm going to assume we all have known. I've certainly known many versions of the guy who is not like they're very horny about shit. And they think that that's just fine. They think that energy, like they are not cognizant that other people might not want that energy in their life,
and are not matching that energy. Yeah,
and they're not reading the room about who might be doing it. And so, like, they're like, as much as I say that, like, shame is not a good thing to feel, nonetheless, it is something that like holds you back from being that guy a little bit. To be like, here is a thing that is, I understand that this is not like a normal thing that we're all like, this is under normal circumstances. This wouldn't be something that I would just be like, hey, here you go.
Here you go. Get an eye load of this.
Yeah. No, instead it's like, okay, I'm presenting this all to you as a delicate,
for your respectful consideration.
Yeah. For your respectful consumption. Yeah.
Please observe this bunny girl art respectfully.
Respectfully, yes. Respectfully, my head is turning into a cartoon wolf, foghorn. Yeah.
My eyes are telescoping out of my skull to look at this, but respectfully.
My tongue has rolled onto the table in front of me. I have to roll it back up like a curtain. Yeah.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
You get it.
Yeah, that's the appropriate amount of energy to bring to the horny channel.
Yeah.
Okay. That was something like an episode, so I guess we're good.
Sure.
I will see. I'm going to go back to setting like actual goals because I am like so close.
You're almost done with breathing space. Totally.
Yes, totally done.
Wow.
Except for the questionnaire episode, which I'll have to do later.
Oh yeah, but that like, we're not worrying about that till like the end of next month.
Yeah, but the finale, like I'm just waiting on somebody else to listen to it so that they can tell me what is done, what needs to be done for the last part of the finale, and then I'm not gonna say I'm washing my hands of the situation, but I can like set it down.
You can take a fucking breather.
Yeah, I have some things still on my that I can start devoting back to It Takes a Wolf, which I've been like, I have managed to. I will say the last couple of weeks, my goal has been like not forget about it, be thinking about it, keep thinking, and that has been true. I have been like sitting there in a way champing at the bit. Like there's nothing like being told you can't work on something to make you want to work on it.
Yeah, it's actually a useful creative like trick sometimes to be like, well, I can't work on this project right now. Guaranteed that's the only thing you can think about while you're doing all your other tasks. Like
So I'm ready. I'm raring to go. I will get back into writing in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
That will hopefully by the time we meet again, I will have some additional like text written, which is good.
Okay.
I mean,
that's
I don't know if the text will be good, but it'll be good.
Yeah, add some additional text. Doesn't have to be good, just has to exist.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming since Sam is super busy and you're sort of waiting on them, you're not really going to be doing a whole lot.
Yeah, I will check in with Sam. That's my goal for next time. See how he's doing, because I know there's just a lot going on in Sam's life right now.
Fair enough. Yeah, like this is we're keeping this. We're keeping these projects alive right now. They're on.
Exactly.
I don't want to call life support because that sounds really bad, but they're on like hibernating or whatever. Like,
But
anyway, so okay, cool. Well, in that case, I will catch you, and I will catch the audience in 2 weeks. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for joining us for Behind the Locked Doors, a library of cursed knowledge, production, podcast thing. I don't know. If you are interested in any of these projects, you can head over to library.horse, which will eventually redirect to a webpage once I make it, If you want to support the podcast, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/cursed knowledge. See y'all next week. No, wait. See y'all in 2 weeks.